finally got to see what the new Ford F-150 electric truck looks like and some of the specs for the initial release. Today, we're taking a look at the 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning, the first electric truck from Ford and a potential game changer in the EV market. The idea of a fully electric pickup truck is something that has excited me for a long time. The pickup truck market is a market that has the potential to really both disrupt and affect overall the EV market, especially here in the USA. You know, obviously here in the USA, trucks are more than just vehicles or work vehicles. In most places, you know, especially like here in Texas where I am, trucks are a way of life. So Ford just introduced the next competitor in the EV pickup truck world. And no spoilers or anything, but I think it's a game changer. But we'll get to that. Hey everybody, I'm Chad. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on the video. I'm an entrepreneur and an electric vehicle lover and advocate. I started my journey with a Nissan Leaf, and I now drive a Tesla Model X. The idea of an electric pickup truck is exciting. It is one of the key vehicles needed to really push the EV market more into the mainstream. In my opinion, a well-executed EV pickup could have a similar effect to what the Model 3 did, where you see a lot of people coming into EVs that weren't going to before. So let's take a look at the Ford F-150 Lightning, and let's see if this is the vehicle to finally achieve that in the truck world. So in the initial press, we are introduced to two basic models. You've got a standard battery and you've got an extended range battery. You know, the first thing I'm looking at when it comes to an EV is going to be the range. And honestly, this F-150 has pretty good numbers. The standard range battery comes in at 230 miles estimated. This is already more range than my Model X has. And from experience, I can tell you 230 miles is a very usable number. Then, in the extended range battery, they're estimating around 300 miles of range. And while 230 is very usable, from my experience, 300 is really the sweet spot for electric vehicle range, at an entry level anyway. 300 miles makes road trips more realistic, and it brings a sense of comfort. This is more like a traditional vehicle range, and it's closer to what people are used to. So it will make a lot of people converting to EV for the first time feel more comfortable. Let's take a closer look at this design. F-150s are the most popular truck on the road. They sell around 1 million vehicles a year, which is just wild. They're popular for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is that classic F-150 look. I think that design-wise, they have knocked it out of the park with this F-150 Lightning. It looks like an F-150. That's it. When you set your expectations on what an electric F-150 is going to look like, this is it. This is what it looks like. So what we know right now is that these are going to be available in 4 trims, which we've kind of seen a few different versions of so far. But, you know, we're basically going to see a base model at the bottom, which we don't know a name for yet. And then we're going to see the next level up, which is the Ford XLT. A level up above that is the Lariat. And then you've got the pricey Platinum Edition at the top. These are pretty standard Ford names and F-150 names, so it gives you a good expectation of what is going to be included in these trims. At launch, these are only going to be available as a Super Crew 4-door cab with a 5.5-foot bed, so there's not a lot of choice there, but if you live in an area that's very truck heavy, then you know this is the model that almost everyone drives, so it's pretty clear what their target is here. Ease of charging is a big worry for people switching to electric, but Ford's done a pretty good job here. So just like the Mustang, the Mach-E, you're going to have access to this public network of chargers through their app that is included and that works as your key. And then you've got some really good at-home charging options as well. It looks like there's going to be a couple different choices there, one of which has up to 80 amp charging on the extended battery models. For basic charging, you'll be able to fully charge overnight at a decent pace with the onboard chargers. Several charging speeds and options based on the battery size and the charger unit, including just plugging it into a standard wall plug, which is actually a big deal for a lot of people. Basically, you're looking at getting around 3 miles per hour charging on a standard 120 220 outlet, which is essentially what my Leaf charged at. And then with a 240 outlet, you'll be up at around 21 miles per hour. So not necessarily super speedy when it comes to charging, but overall fine. You'll be able to charge it overnight, no problem. In terms of technology, there's a lot here to like, and some things I'm super excited about. So you've got large displays inside the truck on the upper models. Basically, the portrait display that is in the Mach-E carries over to the top models in this F-150 Lightning. It'll use the Ford Pass app, which is that app I mentioned. That makes the app your key. It gives you battery information, and it unlocks and finds this public charging network, which is great for road trips and is really helpful when you're out and about. Much like Tesla, you're going to be able to get over-the-air software updates and improvements. We've seen features like the Blue Cruise, which is their hands-free driving. You've got this power on board, which this is where things really start to get interesting. In terms of power on board, in the base model, you have a power output of 2.4 kilowatts. You're good there to use some tools, and it's great for job site stuff. But this is where things get really, really interesting. Ford is including a technology that they're calling intelligent backup power. So intelligent backup power, or some people call it vehicle-to-grid power, this is a really interesting piece of technology. The idea is that if you have the right equipment and your truck is plugged into the charger, if the power were to go out, the truck would be able to power your home. I'm thinking back to the days when the winter weather came through here in Texas and we were without power for days. This is an exciting feature. Man, this could be a game changer. With weather like this more likely to happen in the future, the ability to have a source to power the house is really interesting. And that's where that 80 amps of power, which is more than a Tesla Powerwall. Another big thing for trucks is towing weight and carry weight. In the marketing materials, Ford says this will carry 2,000 pounds and tow 10,000 pounds, but that's with no indication of how that load is going to affect the battery. This is a key metric for the truck, and it's going to be a big part of what makes or breaks its success. We are expecting to get a little help monitoring that battery usage. Ford will be including an intelligent range monitoring system in these. It's just going to give you a better idea of how your battery is running, how much power you're using, but it's going to take things into consideration like the weather, the cargo load, how fast you're driving, what traffic is like, things like that. So a really great feature there, and one that I'm really interested to see how it pans out. Okay, let's talk about this Frunk, or the Mega Power Frunk, I guess, which is what Ford is calling it. It sounds like a weird superpower to me. Let me be upfront here. When we were purchasing our Model X, the idea of the Frunk was super exciting. It was something that we talked about a lot. We were really fired up for how much help it would be. It was a big selling point for us. Since we've had the Model X, I can count the number of times that we have used the Frunk on two hands. It's just not that many times. And when we do remember to use it, for instance, we used it to take some trash to a dumpster and we forgot that it was in there. And so we left trash in there for days. Not good. But this F-150 Frunk has me really excited. They're saying 400 pounds of support, 400 liters of storage, 14 cubic feet of storage, which is bigger than the trunks in a lot of very, very popular vehicles. The marketing video spoke directly to me, showing 2 bags of golf clubs being stored in it. That's a knockout for me. It's incredible, and that is a perfect use for me for that Frunk. It's incredibly useful. Power outlets, USB ports, water can be drained out of it. You can use it to store food, perhaps. There's going to be some options for that. I think the thing that excites me the most about this Frunk is it clearly was not an afterthought. And then one last piece about the name, the F-150 Lightning. When I was 16, the car that I wanted the most was a Ford SVT Lightning. That truck was my favorite truck. I loved the way it looked. Oh man, it was incredible. They looked great. They were fast. They just seemed awesome every time I saw them. So to have that name come back on an electric vehicle, I guess not unlike the Hummer as well, is just a really cool trend at this point. And it's very exciting for me. I feel like I'm going to get the chance to maybe finally own that Ford Lightning that I've always wanted. So the final piece of the puzzle here is price. Right now what we're seeing is the standard battery price at around $40,000 and the extended range battery price at around $53,000. And then we're seeing a top price at around $90,000. This is before upgrades and add-ons. If you want to reserve one today, just like with Tesla, you're going to put $100 down. At $53,000 with the specs and technology that we're expecting at that level, feels like a really good price to me. That price with this technology that we're seeing here, I absolutely will be canceling my Cybertruck reservation and reserving an F-150 Lightning. Some final thoughts on the price. I think people forget how expensive pickup trucks can be, especially if you live in an area where they just aren't everywhere. So that being said, $40,000 and $53,000 are both pretty decent prices for a good truck. On the top end though, that $90,000 is very expensive. My assumption is we'll see some added technology in these higher end models that will justify that spike, but on paper it just feels a bit off from the rest of the pricing. So that's it. That's the Ford F-150 Lightning. If you're like me and you've been waiting for an electric pickup truck, this is probably the one you've been waiting for. I think this thing is going to be a real contender. There are a few things still up in the air that are going to make or break it. I think that towing performance is going to be one. The way that cargo and towing affect the battery are both going to be big, especially if you're out using this, in a work environment or you're towing a boat or something like that. Great specs, classic looks, and some great technology. This thing really stands a chance to shake up the EV market. Hey, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think of the Ford F-150 Lightning. Are you going to reserve one? Do you think it's going to be a competitor? Do you think it's exciting? Do you not like it? Let me know down in the comments. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I'll see you in the next one.